Hi all, I'm Dave Denton and welcome back to the channel. So today I'd like to talk about a particularly excellent book. It's called The Charisma Myth by Olivia Fox Cabane, and it's well worth a read. If you guys have some spare change, I'd really recommend you go out to your nearest bookstore and pick up a copy. So the reason I like this book so much is charisma is something that's often seen as an intangible genetic trait. You're either born with it or you're not. And Olivia Fox Cabane in this book, she really debunks that myth and breaks down what charisma is in terms of the three components, and gives useful tips to actually implement them in your life to increase your charisma levels. So just before I start, please like and subscribe, and thank you for clicking on this video, and we'll get straight into it. So the book starts with a story from back in Victorian London back in 1886, where Benjamin Disraeli and William Gladstone were competing in a British election. In the very last week of campaigning, both gentlemen happened to take the same young lady out for dinner. The British press got a hold of this and naturally questioned the lady to really get insights into the two Prime Minister candidates. In her own words, "After dining with William Gladstone, I thought he was the cleverest person in England. But after dining with Mr. Disraeli, I thought I was the cleverest person in England." As you probably guessed it, Benjamin Disraeli went on to win the British election. And so if there's one thing you take away from this talk, it's that charisma is at its most fundamental. It's about how you make other people feel. It's about making them feel a certain way. So in the book, the author talks about how there are three components to charisma. There's presence, warmth, and power. And she gives us a few tips to up in each of these levels. So to start off, to remain present in conversation, she recommends three things. The first, wiggle your toes, as they're the furthest part of your body, furthest part from your brain, and so your brain must sweep through your entire body at high speed in order to feel the physical sensations. Therefore, it really gets you physically present in the moment. Next up, she recommends focus on the pupils of the eyes of the people that you're talking to. Obviously, don't overdo it, but by doing that, you're much more present when you're talking to someone and engaging with someone. And then the third tip she gives to remain present in conversation: pretend the person you are talking to is the hero of a movie or some local celebrity or the most interesting person in the world. You're really focusing in on them to try and get as much value from them as possible and to really be there in that moment. The second part of charisma is power. So the author says to remember, no matter what you may say or do, the way you present yourself serves as the shortcut others use to understand you. Secondly, you need to mitigate that imposter syndrome or any self-doubt that all of us feel from time to time. To do this, she has two pieces of advice. Firstly, you want to destigmatize any negative feelings you're experiencing by acknowledging it. One of the author's clients was wearing an itchy suit at a client dinner, and so by stating it to the client, he ensured his discomfort wasn't misconstrued as not wanting to be there at that dinner. The second tip is to take on a gorilla-like alpha pose. You want to take up as much space as possible. This will increase testosterone levels, and it will also reduce the cortisol levels, which is one of the biggest hormones for stress. Lastly, the author recommends not overdoing the power poses, as you can come across as arrogant. And so to get around that, she advises to when you're talking to someone, slightly lower your chin, because that is the added benefit of opening your eyes wider to appear more thoughtful. Also pause for around 2 seconds after someone's asked you something, just to really show that you're giving your response some due thought. The third component of charisma is warmth, and there's 2 ways to project warmth. The first is gratitude. Make a mental list beforehand of things that you're really appreciative for in your own life. And the second one is compassion. Make a mental list of things that you really admire about the person you're about to meet, to spend time with. Next up, the author covers the 4 main types of charisma. The first is authority charisma. Now, this is ideal for when you're in a crisis situation. It's terrible though for critical thinking, and it's terrible for getting feedback from other people. For this example, think Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. The second main charisma type is known as warmth charisma. Now, this is great for creating an environment where people can come to you and share their feelings and open up. Think of the Dalai Lama for this one. Also note, this is the hardest to fake. It's the hardest charisma type to fake, warmth is. As warmth is judged so heavily on our non-verbals, and not necessarily just our words. The third charisma type is known as the focus charisma. Now, this is fantastic for making people feel heard and respected, and vice versa. People want to return the favor, if you show them respect and if they feel heard. For this example, think Elon Musk as a perfect example. And then lastly, visionary charisma. Now, this is excellent for inspiring others, but it's not always an excellent approach for making people like you. For this one, think of Steve Jobs, who was once kicked out of Apple. Before I wrap up this video, one final note of the 4 charisma types. Depending on people's personalities and the issues they're dealing with, certain charisma types will resonate at one particular moment and repel at another. And therefore, it's important to ensure that you've done your research or the person you're about to meet before you start playing with these charisma types. Thank you for clicking on this video. Hopefully this talk's given you the nudge to, first of all, go out and buy this book, The Charisma Myth by Olivia Fox Cabane. And secondly, hopefully it's given you a nudge to, I guess if you weren't already aware of this information, it's given you a nudge to actually employ it in your interactions with people, and to see what kind of responses you get from people, and really go from there. Then thirdly, hopefully this has given you a nudge to like this video and subscribe and comment on any experiences you've had with any of this, and please feel free to share this with your friends or anyone you think could get some value from this information. Thank you all for listening in.